Hello. This is this knife I made. Completed recently. Initiated, I don't know, 2 years ago or something. Where I made this Damasteel blade from an offcut. And so I recently sent this into Steve Kalari for heat treatment. Got it back. I had the handle and some lilac pins ready. And I just kind of bunged the whole thing together, friction fit. And lo and behold, it held together fine. And so I've been sharpening and whittling and sharpening and grinding and whittling. And bit of a burr here. So yeah, definitely good little whittler. Super whittler, really. Kind of like the whittling knives I'm accustomed to making. But with super steel, here's one made out of an old straight razor I'm working on. I might use this handle. Cherry burl. This one I want to send to Gerst for final grind and tuning. I'm going to build it into a friction folder. Here's a knife from said Gerst. We've got a bit of an issue with the sheath here. Man didn't learn about the welt yet. Put a welt in there. So I'm going to rebuild, but it's really cool, really nice leather. I like the concept. Nice little pocket sheath. It's just, yeah, that's a problem. And I've just been doing some light regrinding on this. Just bringing out a bit more of a point there at the tip. But yeah, been using her for some whittling. Very satisfactory, including on this handle here. I'm not going to do it now. Yeah, this has been soaked in oil and stuff. So what happened was that over time using this, it started to actually get a little bit of a wobble in there. You know, much like you'd get out of an old pocket knife. So it was really fulfilling the kind of old pocket knife vibe in every way except not folding and being very lightweight, about an ounce and a half. So I've decided that therefore I should probably try and finish this blade and take the whole thing down and put it together sooner than later, because if everything's moving around and wiggling around, then everything, that's not ideal. Really needs to be glued together, I think. And the blade's just about there. When I made it, whatever I was using here, some kind of file or something, caused me to cut in. It's a typical thing. You ride up on the plunge grind and dig in down there, which has given it this kind of recurve shape at the end of the day, which is kind of cool. I like it. You can see actually I even had the same problem on this one, even though there is no plunge grind to speak of, but just from going, when you go up here, you dig in down there. Yeah, things that I was, but this and this, I made them over a year ago, so maybe I would do that a bit better now. Right, so that's the plan with that. I soaked it in water so it's nice and solid again, and that will give me some time to continue, grinding and tidying it up. And then once it dries out, everything should loosen up, and I'll be able to tap the pins out of there, hopefully, pretty easily. One of them was already moving once everything dried out. So, yeah, tap it out, etch the blade. So we'll see the pattern from the Damasteel in there. Also up the spine, that should be attractive. And then reassemble, and maybe I'll be able to fill this in with some black epoxy or something. And it should be cool. Really, Whittles really were really well. It's got a little bit of flex, you know, but the edge is very stable because it's convexed and yeah, good steel. Apparently a good heat treatment. You know, it's been hard grinding or hard sharpening, but not unpleasant. Nice feeling. Put that back in there. So that helped me. That experience has helped me to come to a conclusion with this little guy, because I was thinking to try and keep this maybe as a kind of a, not folding, but whatever, collapsible knife. Yeah, let's say a collapsible nesting pocket knife. You know, cut the handle down to the right kind of shape, and be able to have some pins, you know, pop them in there, and then take them back out, fold everything down, and put it in your pocket. And in any case, man, that really is, goes together nice and tight. Yeah, so aside from this original hole here, I drilled that hole with the notion that I can put something like this nail that I ground down. You know, I'll tap that in. So I can put it here, you know, I can install it in position, drill the hole, do the same thing on the other side, put this in, cut it down, and that will be an internal pin then. So yeah, gonna do that with this. Maybe I'll just use lilac actually, because this is gonna come in at under an ounce if I do it right, which is pretty cool. Sub-ounce fixed blade. Could even use hollow tubes, but I don't have the right size. That'd be cool though. But yeah, my idea is now is, yes, I'm going to glue it all together and make it a fixed blade, because the other way, it will eventually, I guess, you know, depending on how it's used, but if it's used for anything other than ultralight use, which is not really justified to have a blade that stocky and that sharp just for whatever, opening letters or something. Yeah, so I'm going to glue it together, and maybe I will also look at then extending the handle. I mean, I kind of like the idea of it being a tiny fixed blade, but the blade should be really good. So maybe I want a bigger handle on it to actually be able to use it. Because this should be a really good, you know, like the one I just put away in there, you know, super steel, small bladed whittling knife. A bit unlike this thing, which is kind of a bit more of a joke. I mean, actually, for certain tasks, it's excellent. For a scraper, it's really good, actually. But man, it's kind of fugly. Thinking about sending this to Gerst as well to see if he can like tidy up the blade, make it look nice, if that's even possible. And I don't know about maybe the ebonizing. Maybe I'll just sand it back and have the original oak. That'll look kind of cute too. We'll see. So, putting aside the mini fixed blade concept, I'd also like to talk about folding knives with locking retention system, because now I have 3 of these that I can think of. 3 examples. Got the other one here in my pocket. So I figured out a system for this as well here on my dangler. I put this thing. I should put some foam in there or something. But yeah, because this thing is so tiny and so easy to lose, put it in something bigger, right? Like you put your pencil in a pencil case, and if the pencil case has bright colors and so forth, that helps. So that's my solution. This goes on the dangler, where I would usually dangle my fixed blade. Well, I just dangle this. That's the fixed blade that goes on the dangler. This goes in the pocket. And unless someone's viewing this video and hasn't seen any of my recent videos, knows nothing about this knife, this goes in there. And I have become very fond of this now because um, I did actually have been putting this knife to some hard use, and it works great. But there are some things I actually baton. There you go. Beg your pardon. It's like a running gag here on this channel. Um, I batoned with it just to see what would happen. And of course, the blade is an excellent batoning blade. But what happened was it went boink. I can't, it popped the lock, but then it clicked back into place again. And I've also noticed, I think once, maybe twice other times, chopping, that it does that. That it'll shake its way, it'll override the lock, but then it bounces back, it clicks back into place again. But once that's happened, now you're insecure, right? Especially if I'm not wearing a glove. But even if I am wearing a glove, I don't want to buy new gloves just because this thing closed on it, and it'll probably make it through the leather. I mean, or maybe could. It's very sharp, and it's very weighty. CPM 3V, by the way. So, yeah, this gives you that presence of mind that you know that something may break or whatever, but it's probably not gonna end up closing on your hand. There's really no way. And actually, although I was initially disappointed by the fact that this doesn't actually fix the blade per se, the blade is still held in place only by the lock. This allows a little bit of play. But if this were actually taking over from that, then this would be receiving a lot of stress, impact, and transmitting that through that pin into this titanium. So that wouldn't be good. So I conclude that that is just overall brilliant for what it is, excellently done. And a while back, I got this. Actually saw a weapon collector video where he presented one of these. And there was some kind of copy made as well. But this is the original, so to speak, the CRKT Journeyer Ma design. And it has this little key here with which you can tighten your pivot. It's tight. And you can pop it in there. And now you have, it's got a little bit of movement, but it won't close on you until you press that and it falls out. Which it does pretty easily. It's happened to me. I was whittling, and then I did something. I pressed on it, and it went bing and fell on the floor, and then I had to look for it. This came to me secondhand. I found it online on Heine Haynes, and it was secondhand, and I suspect that the previous owner put this edge on it. Superb edge. Really nice. And so consequently, this thing's very sharp, and it actually whittles and performs quite nicely. Yeah, a really cool knife. But it's got a little bit of play. The detent is very light. It's like a ball detent slip joint. And so maybe they made it light deliberately so that you can do that. Or do this thing. And so, yeah, it's light, but then you've got this thing. So it's kind of good. But yeah, I don't think I would carry this around as my EDC, even in a place where I was only allowed a slip joint. I'd take my friction folder or something. But it's a cool design, though. So I'm glad to have it. And then just yesterday, I picked this up at the local sports shop. The Cold Steel 1911. And I don't know, I must have seen or heard something about it online before. But, whatever. There are a lot of $40 knives out there that are kind of cool, but meh. But seeing this in person, it kind of got me thinking, because I like the concept of a folding knife that has the ergos of a pucco. And for example, I like this, that you can choke up all the way here, and there's no flipper or some finger guards kind of oblige you to be in there. Otherwise, you're off, and you know, or sometimes you have to, you can only kind of choke up like this, but you can't get a full choke up. Well, I like that. So I like that on this knife. I like that on this knife. It's actually the same thing, right? You got this choil there, so you can be right up there and, get all your different grips, no problem. Nothing pranging you. But yeah, the flipper tab delete is a thing. I've done that a couple of times. And since this goes very nicely off the thumb stud, I figured, well, I'll just chop that off. And then I thought, well, maybe chop that off. But then I thought, well, maybe replicate that on this side. Have a little something like that. But be able to have, this full grip that you can't get right now. And here's the lock. Excellent. Now it's locked. Spine whack away. You'd probably break something eventually, but it's locked. And no fiddly little thing to carry around to lose. It's right there. I think that's brilliant. I have what is it? The leak that has a lock down here that stops it from opening. Okay, that's smart if it's an assisted opening knife with a flipper tab on it. But I don't really care that much for that. It's not like, I wish they put that on all knives. But this, considering that thus far I have found, it doesn't seem to me like, however you're using the knife, conventionally, it seems like you'd have to be doing something very strange to accidentally turn off the safety. And while it's on, it is, it's well fixed. So I think that's brilliant. And also I did some whittling with this last night. And I found that it was most satisfactory because the grind is really good. It's thick and it has quite a steep final bevel. But the feeling is getting towards a kind of a convex, because they got the slopes just right. So it works. It's not a slicey blade. It's very chunky. But you could still slice with it because of the flat grind and what have you. But yeah, I really want to get this on the Tormek and convex it out. So I think first I'll take this off and I'll take the thumb stud off. And then I'll have some fun optimizing the geometry on this, which should probably be easy. It's a 416, 4116. I don't really know that I have any experience with this steel, but it's whatever. It's the ultra inferior steel, right? Worse than 420, presumably. And yet, if it's, supposedly if it's well heat treated, it could get pretty hard, and I'm sure Cold Steel know what they're doing. Also of interest, do you see that line running kind of halfway up the bevel there? Oh, man. It's quite visible to the naked eye, but I'm having real trouble capturing it there. Right in the middle of that band of light from the lamp. There is where it is, kind of thing. So it looks like it might be laminated, is what I'm trying to say. But maybe I don't know. There could be something else going on there. If anyone knows, tell me. What's up with that? Please. Thanks for watching.